live. We are live. We are live.
Sorry, we're an hour late. We were playing World of Warcraft.
Don't admit that.
It admitted.
Here, spin some Beyblades while I talk. Alright, so for you guys, we are doing a making Beys competitive combo kind of situation going on here. So we gave a request out to our community tab and said, hey, can you tell us what Beyblade combos you want to see us make competitive? And we got some answers. So we are going to be looking at some of the stock combos that you can get out of the box and what you need to do to make these combos go to a tournament and do well. So the first Beyblade we want to talk about, we talked about that we were going to do this last week, is going to be here on Burst Spriggan. So Burst Spriggan out of the box is Burst Spriggan 8 with Spread Dash and Fusion Dash. This combo is not good. You'll notice in any of the videos and anybody working with this that this spins out way too early. It does not have the stamina required to perform. So, oh, you think our mic is off? Is it off or really quiet? Let's make sure. I can hear it. It seems to be working, but let's make sure it's set to the right device. Is it good? Yeah? No? That looks like it's working.
Maybe it was just taking a minute at the start.
Might have just been taking a minute at the start. It seems to be working. Everything is moving along, and we can hear it in our version, so that's doing fine. Sorry about that. Yeah, so this combo, ideally, I think there's two different ways to make this competitive, and it depends on what type of tournament you're going to. So the first change you can do is if you're going to a tournament that allows spin direction change. And that's really the strength here of Burst Spriggan, is that it can spin either left or right. So if you're going to be working with this Beyblade, you're going to want to switch the driver out to something that works well when you are in opposite spin direction. So first, let's do a quick look at how Burst Spriggan handles an opponent with just its base configuration here. So let's just grab that Roar Spriggan there.
That's this one. That is left spin.
So this is going to be against Golden Roar Spriggan with kick. It's a very basic, not particularly strong combo here, and we are working with Fusion Dash here on Burst Spriggan. These are opposite spin directions. So, oh, nope, I'm set to left as well. For both left spin stamina types here, so let's give that a shot. 3, 2, 1. So we're going to probably see, we should see, that the Roar Spriggan easily handles this matchup here. Two stamina types is going to be a little bit boring. We are both left spin, so the way to win is to pull as hard as possible if you are both in the same spin direction. Nice little tippity-tappities as stamina types go. And we should see that, unless that happens, this Bey would have lost a stamina badge there. We can see it happening at the end there. A knockout is not what we were expecting. I should actually have done this in the opposite spin direction, so I am going to swap over that. Where is our Dewey Dad? I don't see one around.
Oh, the spin direction changer?
Yep.
It is not in any of our current boxes.
Okay, it must be out in the closet. I swapped it over using an armor. That's an easy to do solution.
So of course we have some feedback that Burst BDR would be the one to go with.
Bearing Drift?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Bearing Drift is definitely the one that we are going to be showing, but I wanted to first do a show of what these two will look like in opposite spin directions. Let's do it again. We can do a soft launch because, again, opposite spin direction stamina types, it doesn't matter what speed you're going at. It's all about that life after death. And this should make it a lot less boring. So if you are going into an opponent with Burst Spriggan, you always want to be spinning in the opposite direction of what your opponent is currently going with. So that means upgrades to it are definitely going to be, of course, if you have it, Bearing Drift. Bearing Drift is just an absolute beast. It'll probably work good in both spin directions, to be honest. So here or there, I spin out, easily defeated by kick, and kick is not a good driver, so that's what we're trying to avoid. If you swap over to Bearing Drift, this thing is going to turn into an absolute monster. No other changes needed. 8's awesome. Spread Dash, I think, is a fantastic weight disc. So if you get this thing and you do this on Bearing Drift and we try that battle again. 3, 2, 1. Doesn't matter how hard you launch, you will have the same outcome at the end because you will just spin, equalize off each other. The only difference is you might get knocked out. If you launch really hard, you increase the chance of getting knocked out. Also, if you launch too softly and your opponent goes into a tornado stall, you can spin yourself out because you never end up making contact. Definitely something to watch out for.
We've got a couple of new people that have joined. What Beyblade are we customizing first?
So right now we are customizing Burst Spriggan from the brand new set. Look at that easy win there that we just got. This driver is totally broken. If your tournament allows it, this is a beast of a driver. But also to consider, this is a beast of a driver on many combos.
Yes.
And I don't think Burst Spriggan needs it. It can use it. It'll do awesome. But again, if you're in a tournament that lets you change spin direction, just going with a regular drift or metal drift is going to be fine. So let's find ourselves Bahamut. Drift's not there.
Purple?
Yes, there it is. So metal drift here is not as good as bearing drift, but we are going to see if we put this thing on metal drift, and we're going to swap that Spriggan over to bearing drift.
This is the left spin. So we are taking, announce that one again.
Burst Spriggan. So the Spriggan 2 with the burst layer, spread, and metal drift. And we're going to put it up against Roarer Spriggan, Spriggan 1 with Fortress and bearing drift. Bearing drift's super strong, but I do believe metal drift will be perfectly fine here on this Burst Spriggan. 3, 2, 1. A problem with metal drift compared to bearing drift, it doesn't matter how hard you launch it. You can launch it super hard and you will not KO yourself. Metal drift is not the case. If you launch metal drift really hard, you will spin yourself out and lose. You have to soft launch it to be effective, so it only works in opposite spin battles. We're gonna see here, we should be able to take the win, even though we're up against that much stronger bearing drift. It was very close, but it did take the win, so just a simple drift on here, or even bearing, is going to be enough to make this a good combo if you can change spin direction. If you cannot change spin direction, bearing drift or high extend plus dash.
We have someone inquiring. Spinjitzu Blader. What about Morbius?
What about Mobius? Mobius is trash. No. Mobius is fine. I don't think it works particularly well with Burst Spriggan compared to how it worked with Astral Spriggan. It was decent on Astral Spriggan, but on Burst Spriggan, it makes it a little bit too tall. So if we go over, where's my Mobius? There it is. If we look at the height comparison of Mobius to Metal Drift, there is quite a bit of difference there. And when you're getting that much taller, instead of hitting the rubber where you want them to hit, they're making contact here with the plastic on the underside. So when you're that much taller, unless you're hitting at a slant and they're hitting the rubber, you're more often getting them hitting you where you don't want them to hit. So there is issues with Mobius. Mobius is a little bit too tall, I think, for this combination. Astral Spriggan works a little bit differently. And so when you're getting with Astral Spriggan, because of the more intense angles that we got going on here that Burst Spriggan doesn't have. It doesn't have those intense angles. Mm-hmm. This one can work decently with Mobius because it doesn't matter how tall you are, they're still hitting the rubber angles. That's not the case with Burst Spriggan here. Sorry, getting myself confused because, yeah, you don't have intense angles and they start hitting the plastic. I don't think it works as well. We'll have to see what Bearing Mobius can do once Barricade Lucifer comes out, but that's not available yet, so this is just where I'm going off of my knowledge.
Troy says we should change this to Burst Perseus Fortress Extreme Dash.
Burst Perseus? We should change our Burst Spriggan to Burst Perseus.
Now, we were specifically focused on Burst Spriggan, though, and how to make that.
Yeah, so this was talking about Burst Spriggan. Yeah. If you want to work differently with Burst, it is better in right spin than left spin, and so Burst Perseus will work quite well as a right spin opponent. I think it's definitely got some solid comparisons. So let's try Burst Perseus, and we're going to try that against Dynamite Perseus.
Okay.
So let's grab ourselves a Dynamite Perseus.
I thought we had one built in here somewhere in this mess.
We don't. We have them all mostly in stock combos or near stock combos. So that is a Dynamite. Let's grab ourselves a plus F gear. Let's save you. That's not my silver gear. What is happening? We're a little bit more messed up than we usually are with our stuff here. Bear with us. There it is. So there's an F gear. That's Dynamite. Dynamite plus F. Start building. Perseus. We need our 9 armor.
This mode?
Yes.
Okay. You have the armor bucket? I brought that over here.
You brought that one over here.
That's this one.
That's this. Yes, okay. So this thing's got the 9 armor here. 2.
Man, I don't know how you keep this stuff straight sometimes.
My brain
Yeah.
prioritizes.
Like, I remember I put this armor on this Beyblade and it's over here.
It's
like,
over here. So Dynamite plus F Perseus, we put that on over. Got an over right there, and we put that on bearing dash. I'm sure I saw it.
is it one that you just had?
No. I thought I just saw it over here. It should be right here. Bearing dash.
Okay. Alright. So, repeat that. Perseus, Dynamite Perseus.
Dynamite Perseus.
Over bearing dash.
Bearing dash. Now where is our other Perseus? Because we're doing this double Perseus style with Perseus over here as well.
So, Dynamite Perseus is quite a competitive combo in tournaments still right now.
Yep.
You know, the new drivers may change that up a bit right now, but not everybody has them, so this is still holding up.
And even with the new driver, you just put bearing drift on that thing, and it is still an absolute boss.
But the thing is, you can't put bearing drift on every Beyblade.
It's true. It's
right?
true. But you put it on your main stam Beyblade, and we're kind of doing combos that will end up being your main stamina Beyblade.
Right.
Here's Perseus. What was the driver that Spijitsu recommended? Did you say?
Yes. Oh no, it was Troy Mod was talking about Burst, Perseus, Fortress Extreme Dash.
Fortress Extreme Dash. Okay, alright. That's a decision. Fortress should be...
Fortress was on one of these guys, wasn't it?
Did one of them have Fortress? I thought I already used that Fortress. I think I already used that Fortress.
There you go.
There's a Fortress, an Extreme Dash. So this, you want me to do a right spinning attack style Perseus on that? I'm just curious. All right, let's see.
Give it a try.
Let's see. 3, 2, 1. That's about how good I am with attack types. All right. 3, 2, 1. Oh, it's gonna keep doing that. Crazy? No, I gotta do it. Try that again. 3, 2, 1. No, I'm really bad at that.
I think you launched too hard. Trade me. Is this one left? No, right.
Right. Okay. 3, 2, 1. No, I'm just not seeing that much attack potential. It doesn't have the pure feel that you get when Guilty or something is in the attack arena. Not loving that.
Okay.
Anyways, so yes, with Burst Spriggan, throw, if in just stock combo, throw Bearing Drift, or Bearing on it, and it'll be fantastic. So that's what I would do with Burst Spriggan out of the box. Something going on there? Okay. The next one on our request list was to do Ultimate Valkyrie. So Ultimate Valkyrie also came with the Burst Spriggan set. This is going to talk about base Ultimate Valkyrie here. So base Ultimate Valkyrie is on Legacy, and variable. And so this is a little bit weaker of an attack combo. Let's do another shot at that. I think variable just isn't good enough in the attack meta. 3, 2, 1, where it's okay, but we're not seeing the level of aggression we need to win against combos like this Dynamite plus F, right? It's just spun itself out already. It's already lost all of its attack potential and just dies right out. This is a pretty easy answer, and it's going to be the same answer to the question when I was asked what to do with Guilty Longinus. And what you do with both of these Beys is you switch the weight disc over to Fortress, and you switch the base over to Metal Extreme, or Extreme Dash. You can leave Valkyrie 2 here. It's okay. It has burst stopper mechanisms, just minorly. It works alright. I would actually swap this out over to something a little bit better. I like Herbaeus in this combo. I also like using some of the higher attack potential ones like Hyperion. So if you take Hyperion and put it here into Ultimate Valkyrie, you're going to get a slightly stronger combo on the attack side. 3, 2, 1. Why do you do this? 3, 2, 1. So look at that increased aggression compared to what Variable was doing.
Yeah. We're
getting the movement, we're getting the hits. I'm not getting the win because I'm not particularly good with attack types, but you can feel the difference in how that match goes. Pretty much all attack types, you're going to go to that Fortress Extreme Dash. 3, 2, 1.
Test launch.
We need practice with our attack types.
Yep.
Badly. 3, 2, 1. If you don't like Extreme Dash, or if you don't have Extreme Dash, alternatives are Explosion. Oh, that's not there. Explosion came with Hyperion. So this also has a rubber base, and it has a free spinning mechanism, which gives a little bit more stamina in life after death. Explosion is better against other attack type Beyblades than Extreme is, I find.
So if you know that somebody's going to be bringing a Guilty Longinus, you might want to...
On Metal Extreme, you might want to go with yours on to Extreme Dash.
Okay.
We can build one of those real quick.
Quick-ish. Almost through the 6 hours of footage that we had from our last tournament, and that will be posted on YouTube soon, finally.
So here we can grab a Guilty Longinus, we can put it on Giga and Explosion, and we can try that out against our Ultimate Valkyrie there. So this answers two of the posts that were requested, which is Ultimate Valkyrie and Guilty Longinus. 3, 2, 1. A nice smooth knockout there. Explosion has better resistance to taking damage because of the free spinning mechanism. And so when you're fighting another attack type, it actually works better. 3, 2, 1. So resisting those knockouts is what it's better at than Extreme Dash is, and then it's also better at the end game stamina game. So once we get to this point, I don't know what happened there, but I should easily win out in the stamina match.
Yep.
So both in resistance to being knocked out and in stamina, Explosion is better, but it's weaker in attack. And so Ultimate Valkyrie, or using it with Extreme Dash, you're more likely to win against stamina types. 3, 2, 1. Blowing ourselves up here.
Yep.
Flying all over the place, but it's fun to watch, right?
Dark Rebellion then also said, Burst Longinus, Wing Dash, Extreme Dash?
3, 2, 1.
Oh, yeah.
There's a win there. So these are both very strong attack combinations, and this is what you're going to do when you're working with an attack type in the current burst meta, is you're going to put it on one of the rubber bases. Extreme Dash, Explosion, or Exceed. I would not put it on Variable. I think Variable is bad. It just doesn't work as well. And Evolution is just a letdown. I've never seen Evolution work particularly well. I like the design. I think Evolution looks cool. I've just never seen it perform as well as the other rubber drivers.
But definitely, if you're going to bring an attack type to a tournament, make sure you are practicing your launches before you go.
It's more important to practice launching and not knocking yourself out than it is to have a strong combo. You can bring a weaker attack type, like you can bring a Savior, and perform better if you have practice. If you don't like rubber drivers, your only really option is going to be Destroy. And so Destroy Dash comes with a couple of different options, and it's really the only option to go into the attack meta that doesn't use rubber. Let's see, what else has been requested?
I'm going to take a quick look. Mark says he likes Quick Dash and Extreme Dash.
Oh, Quick Dash is good too. I forgot Quick Dash.
If you can't hear that, he said Quick Dash is also good.
Where's the little phone? I have it up on the little phone.
There's that flower pattern.
There's that sweet, sweet flower pattern. There's the little phone. Alright, so there's a request for Astral Spriggan, and to see how it holds up now that Burst Spriggan has released.
Alright.
So let's take a look at that. What we're going to do here is we're going to do Burst Spriggan and Astral Spriggan, keeping them both in their... That's that's Roar Spriggan.
Yeah, I just figured you might want to.
No, we got Astral Spriggan here. So we're going to put them both on Over, and we're going to put them both on Baron Dash. Just so as many things are as similar as possible. I'll leave it 10 and 8 because both of those are working very similarly. Where is my other Baron Dash? It's not in the Perseus box. I'm particularly unorganized this week. I apologize.
I've been working on another tournament that's changed up how we would normally store the parts.
Yes.
Do you have another bucket elsewhere? Are we missing one?
No.
No. Right?
No, that's a fail.
Maybe you need to pick a different base. At the moment.
Possibly. Alright, here's high extend plus dash. We should have a second high extend plus dash right there. That'll work. We'll do both these on high extend plus dash. Alright, grab yourself your Astral Spriggan. Or Burst Spriggan.
So Burst Spriggan over high extend plus dash?
Yes. So these will both be a high extend plus dash in stamina mode.
Can't seem to get this. There we go. Very tight.
So first we're going to do rubber mode each. So we're going to be opposite spin direction, looking at the rubber, how the rubber modes work against each other.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Wow, that was awkward. Don't know what happened there. My Burst Spriggan is doing something weird. This is actually a known issue on Burst Spriggan, or on Astral Spriggan. When I'm locking it in, it's not fully locking. That's probably because I didn't lock this right. No, that's locked. So locking that in, not popping it out. Come on. And then high extend plus dash. See, it's not fully locking in. It's getting almost the end, but it's not doing that last little click. So there's something weird going on there. But I should still be able to launch it. 3, 2, 1. Nope, it's not doing it right.
Let's go find the tool to take it apart.
No, I did it right. There's just something going on with the actual Spriggan. So I'm going to swap to that gold Spriggan that you gave me in all your infinite wisdom. Let's see if that'll lock in. That one works way better. Okay, so there's just something wrong with my red Spriggan. It's probably dying. The Spriggan mechanism has some issues that you will run into. So let's try that again.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. So we're seeing everything else is pretty much the same. We're just dealing with the difference between Astral Spriggan and Burst Spriggan, at which one is doing decent. This is an opposite spin, both in their rubber formation. Judgment Joker would not stand much of a chance against these Beyblades, to be honest. It just doesn't have the weight in there. And I think Volcanic's fallen off pretty hard in the meta.
Is that Pro Series?
That's equivalent of Pro Series, but Takara GT era.
Oh, right.
So Astral did take the win pretty significantly there. Let's give it a second
we're
go.
doing the same base.
Same base, same weight disc, pretty much the same armor.
Opposite spin direction.
Opposite spin direction. 3, 2, 1. So we're going to find, I think, I feel because of those slanted edges on Astral compared to the flatter edges on Burst, that Astral is going to perform better than Burst in opposite spin direction battles. Burst has better burst resistance, which is funny, considering the name, but it just doesn't have as good of actual spin potential. That was pretty close. That was pretty close.
Hello there, fellow blader. Rin-chan life.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, Mark says Volcanic kills itself due to the surface area at the base.
Yeah. He used to have some cool interactions and some big hits early on, but Metal Extreme and Explosion and similar rubber type attack drivers just work better than Volcanic does.
So I guess the big question is, would you actually bring another one of these to a tournament?
I would totally bring in a spin direction changing tournament. I would bring a Burst Spriggan because I think it's fun. But we're seeing right now Astral is working better in opposite spin direction. So I'm going to switch Astral over to the same spin direction.
There's definitely nothing wrong with Pro Series Beyblades. Of course, it's harder if you're going to a really competitive tournament. Those DB Beys, particularly the most recent releases, are just not really gonna be
in the same league.
Yeah,
they're
in the
not
same
in the
league.
same
Yeah.
The DB Beys just absolutely crush anything that Pro Series can put out or has put out.
But not everybody does competitive.
No.
And if you're just playing Beyblades, either with your siblings or with your friends, like people give the Hasbro Beys a lot of flack, but if you are playing against the same type of Beyblades, you can have just as much fun.
It'll be just as fun.
We love playing with the Quad Strike Beys.
Yeah, the Quad Strike Beys are a lot of fun against other Quad Strike Beys.
Yeah.
You get a lot of bursts, you get some mechanics. It's still Beyblade. A lot of people get a little bit too caught up on like the mechanics are gone and whatnot, and I get some of that, but it's still fun. Mm-hmm. You can still have fun with your death spinning tops. Let's see. So now I went same spin direction against the Burst Spriggan.
So we want to both pull as hard as we can?
As hard as we can.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. We're going to see Astral has way more recoil, both upon itself and upon the opponent. So it's the reason these long or big bursts are happening between them. They're separating far because of the shape of Astral is causing higher recoil. And that could result in bursts for Astral. But Astral, pretty significantly there, beat out Burst in stamina. Let's try again. 3, 2, 1. The issue you're dealing with when you're working with Astral Spriggan instead of Burst Spriggan is that attack types are going to hit you. your sheer amount of recoil, you're likely to burst. You're more likely to burst with that combo than I think any other DB combo, just because of that recoil on Astral. But yes, so with high extend plus dash there, Astral is winning both in left spin and in right spin versus burst. Let's try one more combo. Let's switch burst over to left spin.
Okay.
I think burst shape changes more significantly from left spin to right spin than Astral does. So it does have a difference in performance and a more severe curve than Astral did. Astral, I would almost consider there's some but minimal difference between the spin directions. There we go. So this will be opposite spin with you in left spin and me in right spin.
Oh, switch launchers. There we go.
Hey Cyclone, how's it going? 3, 2, 1. Astral still taking the win there. So yeah, overall, Astral I think is still more competitive and better at pretty much everything it's supposed to do against Burst. Now, I think Burst Spriggan is better at resisting attack types, and I think Astral Spriggan sucks at that. So if you're going against attack types, Burst is the one that you want in your pocket. But if you're going against anything else, Astral is still really good. There are multiple asks to talk about Chain Kerbeus. So Troy Mod and others have asked, what do you do with Chain Kerbeus to make it good, because it just kind of feels weak? And the answer is not a lot. The most recent release of Chain Kerbeus here, the one with Moment Dash, is pretty much all you can do. So, unfortunately, in Burst, defense types just aren't keeping up. The idea of what defense types are supposed to do can't withstand the sheer pressure of attack types. They are getting knocked out, and they're not supposed to be, but that's just because they couldn't make them so heavy that they can't get knocked out by attack types, or else you would just put an attack type driver on them, and they'd be even better at knocking things out. And that's the problem that we've run into in Burst here. So we are going to check this out with Moment Dash, and I do think Moment Dash is your best option if you've got yourself a Chain Kerbeus on how to use it. So let's try it against that Spriggan there.
We do have Wind Knight and Metal Baron Drift, and we will probably play around with those in a little bit. Cyclone says the Kerbeus core wears down a lot. Maybe depending on how much you're playing with it, I guess?
Could be. 3, 2, 1.
It's not something we've noticed, Cyclone, but honestly we haven't played with it a ton yet.
We have several different Kerbeuses, and we tend to swap between them, so we've used our green, our gold, and our red one. Having all the different ones definitely has made it that our parts don't get worn down. We've never broken any of our parts through wear and tear, where people I know that play a lot have like cracked their Longinuses in half, their Guilties in half, or like...
I love that chain sound. Like.
Feels rewarding.
We do get a lot of people that played Metal Fight. We didn't. We had not been playing Beyblade at that point, and more recently got back into it. So there's a lot of people that miss that, and I wonder if they'll release the 4th gen
as a Metal
Fight to kind of hit that crowd again, right?
So like Burst felt like an evolution of Plastic Gen. They felt the same, and so I foresee them. My guess is that they're going to make the 4th gen another Metal style gen, or closer to how the Metal gen felt, just because They've now done like 10, 12 years of Burst.
Yeah. So what are we doing again?
We're going to try this again. So we actually beat there against the Burst Spriggan on high extend plus dash. So I'm going to check it out against a Dynamite Perseus. This is one of the strongest combos, again, you're going to see all the time. I'm not using Bearing Drift in any of these because I think that this part is too strong. I think it should be banned, and I don't really like seeing it used. And I'm trying to build combos that are actually, relevant to each other. 3, 2, 1. I used to think this combo was too strong, but once you threw in Bearing Drift, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
It is fun.
I mean, it wins.
Yeah.
But is it fun when you're just winning?
I guess.
For me, a lot of things that make Beyblade fun is it actually being competitive. So yeah, you're going to see there, against stamina types, you're losing. Let's try against that attack type, though.
This one? Or this guy?
Attack.
Valkyrie.
Okay.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. She bounced off me and knocked herself out. Definitely a risk in the attack game. 3, 2, 1. So, I am getting the knockouts just by chance, but we are also seeing that I'm moving way more than a defensive type should. 3, 2, 1. Moment dash is the absolute best defense driver out there.
So are you saying...
And I shouldn't be going flying like that on a defense type. I should be able to resist the attacks because that's what defense types should do. We're gonna get spun out, we shouldn't burst, and we shouldn't get knocked out, and we're getting knocked out too much, which is just why defense can't keep up.
Now, is that something about the arena, too?
It's a little bit about the arena. The fixation with the standard stadium has resulted in defense types being weaker just because of how huge these bays are compared to what this stadium was built for, right? Like, this stadium was built for this size of Beyblade. This is, when this stadium came out, was this type. And just look at the sheer difference in size. Like, it's a monstrosity. If we were to go over, we're going to look at this.
Because this is the stadium that we have to use for tournaments. Right? Now, they've just recently changed it so that we can make, more
We can use the
options.
DB stadium and we can use the Pro Series stadium as of, like, our last tournament, like, just a month ago. But if we look at attack type versus defense type here instead...
What are you building?
We are grabbing some of the
little ones?
The little ones that this stadium is made for. So we've got ourselves a Satum versus a Lunor here. 3, 2, 1. Look at how huge the stadium is compared to the Beyblades. The defense types can get hit and only move a short distance. Where with the big Beyblades, they move so much further because they're so much bigger that the stadium has a huge knockout potential. This is what we should be seeing, the defense type resisting those big attacks, even though the attack type is very strong. And it should be able to resist and beat out attack types. And that just doesn't exist in the current meta. So that's something to watch out for. The stadium is a big part of it, but the problem is that the DB stadium nerfs attack types too much. It's too hard to get knockouts in that, and then attack types are losing.
Yeah, Mark is saying the DB stadium nerfs attack types just enough to legitimize defense types, he says.
But makes it so that stamina types are just too strong.
Right.
Right? So it nerfs attack... The defense attack type meta in the DB stadium is perfectly balanced, I think. It makes defense and attack types good. But stamina types are too strong in it, because attack types can't knock out the stamina types. Stamina types don't burst anymore. Burst isn't like a very often win condition. So that's what we're running into there. Yeah, so if you're dealing with this, put it on Moment, or you could put it on Mobius. Especially once Bearing Mobius comes out.
Then you'll
I
have
think
two
that'll
Mobius
be
options,
a decent Mobius option onto defense types like Chain Beys.
But do you think you could still see that brought to a tournament?
I would never bring this to a tournament right now.
Yeah.
It can't keep up.
Yeah.
It'll lose to all the stamina types, and it's not a guaranteed win against the attack types.
Yeah.
If it was a guaranteed win against the attack types, I would put one in my deck. So there's that.
So fun to play with, but not competitive.
The only defense type you can bring to tournaments is Prominence. Prominence is the only defensive layer that I think stands a chance in tournaments. You do something like Prominence with Over, and then you do something like Mobius.
Yeah, we've got take Phoenix's top and Achilles' driver. Which driver is Achilles? Because Phoenix is Prominence, right?
Yeah.
So that's what you're working with.
So, an Ask was Prominence Knight, so I am focusing on Knight here. And Knight actually works well with Prominence because of the bounding gimmick here.
Oh, interesting.
Your armor can stay on easier.
Okay.
And it's more likely to stay on, which gives you that higher defense rate. So this, on spread with Mobius, is actually a decent stamina, or defense type. So let's put it against that Valkyrie, that attack type.
This one, okay.
And we're going to see how much better this is at resisting damage than Chain was.
So we're doing Prominence what, sorry?
This is Prominence Knight.
Prominence Knight.
On spread and Mobius. Right 3, 2, 1. And you're going to hit me and I'm not going to move very far, right? Yeah. And that's just Mobius doing Mobius things. You can't launch Mobius too hard, similar to Metal Drift, you're gonna kill yourself. 3, 2, 1. But this combo can actually resist the damage of attack types.
Resisting the damage
as I'm proving myself a fool.
By getting knocked out.
We could probably, let's do that. Let's do what that guy said. Let's swap out to Achilles' base, just because it is a little bit more resistant.
And what is that one called?
That's Quattro Dash.
Quattro Dash.
So Quattro Dash is one of the best defense drivers on the metal ball defense base. So Mobius has issues where it moves around the outer ring a little bit too much. Quattro Dash shouldn't have that problem. Okay. 3, 2, 1. As we're knocking ourselves out here.
Mobius doing Mobius things, Mark, yes.
It's Mobin time. 3, 2, 1.
Oh my god.
What are you doing?
I'm standing at the wrong angle and I'm launching myself into the pocket.
That's what I do.
Just 1 second.
1 second.
I'll just adjust over here. Here we go.
3, 2, 1.
I'm killing your example here by...
I am killing... This actually works not as bad as it's showing here.
But this is
This is the problem with the defense mode.
Yeah, problem with defense, but also, like, you can bring the best Beyblade, and sometimes you get beat, like...
3, 2, 1. My Zyphoid Excalibur knocked itself out 3 times versus a Poison Cobra from Bro Series. And I have it on video evidence. You can see it on our channel of me getting crushed.
And I beat Lula's Greatest Raphael with an Astral Kitty. So.
Yeah, right. 3, 2, 1. Bend.
There we go.
So yes, this combo should be able to resist those attack types more often than any other defensive combo can, and it should be able to get that win. Let's try it one more time. Three, 2, 1.
We talk the talk,
one more
Mark,
time.
But don't always walk the walk.
We don't always walk the walk. 3, 2, 1. And it's not good.
I love when the armor comes off and becomes just an extra competitor, although we didn't want that to happen. It's fun to watch.
So this is a defensive combination you can bring. We're getting some awkward results here. I assure you it works a little bit better than we're seeing. And if you got yourself Prominence Knight in your random booster and you want to bring it to a tournament, slap it on something like, oh, look, you kicked me out of defense mode and into attack mode.
Ah, you're in attack mode. We do not have any metal fusion.
No, we don't do metal. Yeah, swap us over to a defensive base. This one's a good one. Mobius is okay. Atomic? You could do Atomic. There's some options. There's some options to bring defense types. So that was asked for Prominence Knight, and that's what I would do with Prominence Knight there.
What else have you been asked about?
What else have we been asked?
Oh my god, see? Not even an opponent in there, and so...
Roar Bahamut and Vanish Fafnir.
Like versus, or just...
No, both of those is.
Okay, wow.
So Roar is a weaker than average layer probably these days. When it first released, it felt like it was decent, but I think we've just seen that the other stamina layers beat it out.
What is Dark Fafnir? Which one is that?
There isn't a Dark Fafnir?
That's
Drain
what I said.
Fafnir.
Maybe Drain. Yep.
That's
Drain
old.
is dark?
That's old.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Roar Bahamut, let's see. We're gonna put this onto
Not enough angle on that.
spread. No, over. Oh, no, let's just. So Roar Bahamut you could put on spread or on over, something round ideally. You could put it on Giga if you're really limited, but I probably wouldn't. I'd rather a round one. You could go to tapered possibly. Tapered will be better in opposite spin direction, but not as good in same spin. And then with this combo, what you're going to end up doing is you're going to put it on something that has long life after death potential. So like Zone Dash plus Z is an option here. So if you get yourself a Zone Dash and you put the Z attachment onto that, that can work really good into a Roar Bahamut to make that into a longer lasting stamina defense combination. So let's see if this can handle that Dynamite Perseus.
Okay.
Three, two, one.
I think you might have been knocked out.
Ray would have called that a knockout.
Yeah.
But I mean, he would have been right. That guy's so good at calling those.
Man, yeah, I've been doing video editing. We had 6 hours of footage because we had 3 cameras going at our last tournament. And every match that I watched, I swear, Ray had to make a call of like a crazy knockout or like at the same time spin. And when I slow it down and watch it in slow-mo, he is right every time. So he gets a lot of flack, but he is always correct. So
trust Ray. He knows
Ray.
what he's doing. He's one of our best judges.
Yeah.
He makes split decision calls I can't even see.
Apparently there is an all-black version of Fafnir. I have not seen, but that would be cool.
All black? No, there isn't.
I don't know. We're going to look it up now. Were you watching?
You won, just barely.
Just barely won? All right. So that's good. This guy is still doing extremely well in competitive tournaments.
3, 2, 1.
I don't think you saw it, but Mark said that he was treasure bombed by a Japanese merchant. He got a red event stadium with a bunch of stuff in it, as well as an extra standard stadium. So I want to know who that is and how we make friends
Right?
with
I want to
them.
be friends
Yeah.
with that person. What dark Fafnir do we really have?
I don't know.
Like,
Do we have all of the turbo
We have-
generation? We have no turbo?
we have a few turbo.
Some?
That's what those ones that we showed were.
Oh, the little ones.
These guys.
Mm-mm.
No, these are switch strike. These are switch strike.
Oh,
we don't have turbo.
No, we don't have turbos. We skipped that.
Get that. We didn't like the slingshot gen or the.
Now, to be fair, we weren't really into it when those came out. That was a tie.
That was a tie.
Yep.
So definitely a solid combo. If you put this on something like Zone Dash plus Z, it works a little bit better on this combination than it does on most other ones. So it's definitely something that I would bring. What it's going to do, though, is it's going to tie right spinners, and it's going to lose to left spinners. And so you can bring this into something like a pick 3, choose 1 type tournament to eliminate somebody's strong right spin opponent. Because you show this thing up, it's going to tie them twice, and then you have to swap to a different base. So that can be a strategy in your deck to bring this. This isn't a winning combo. You're not likely to get wins with this. You're likely to get ties. And so that's something to think about. In some formats, that's good. In 5G, it can be excellent if you can time it right to bring this thing out against their strong stamina right spinner. Get the tie so you don't lose that point to them, and then go there. So there is strategies around this, but it's not a winning combo, it's a tying combo. So that's what to think about with Roar there. Vanish, on the other hand, is a winning combo. So Vanish, we can do Vanish Achilles. Vanish Achilles. So this is a combo actually used by Zenki when he goes to tournaments, and you put Vanish Achilles and you put it on either over or you put it on tapered. I usually go tapered. My Achilles is in the wrong spin direction.
tried Guilty Spriggan, Fortress Extreme Dash. That was one of your recommendations, yeah? No, we didn't.
Not on Spriggan.
No?
Spriggan doesn't have the teeth to handle that combination, in my professional opinion. She laughs at my professional opinion. It hurts.
We're as professional as it gets.
We're pretty professional.
You're pretty professional.
We're on the higher end.
I just help.
You help. And then where is that bearing dash driver that we had? Oh, there's my other bearing dash. Yeah, okay, so Vanish Achilles on Tapered and Bearing Dash is a tournament viable combo, and is one used by folks like Zenki and Kai and others to go into tournaments and come in the top 3. You will see this used, so Vanish isn't out of the game because other stamina types exist. It's definitely solid, so let's check it out against that same Perseus there. Again, Dynamite plus that Perseus. So solid. Really strong combo. 3, 2, 1.
Old reliable.
Old reliable. Again, the thing about this, and the reason why this works, Achilles isn't that good because of its burst rate. It's too easy to burst. But Vanish almost eliminates the chance of being burst by any driver, or any core. Vanish's rubber absorbs so much of the recoil and so much of the damage that you're not going to burst. And then this ends up being a really balanced core. I think it's one of the most balanced cores and one of the best stamina cores out there. But again, you can only use it on combos that eliminate its burst risk.
So other than Vanish, what are your options?
Maybe a Dynamite plus F, but Dynamite plus F has way higher burst chance than Vanish, which is why it's pretty much used on Vanish.
Right.
Burst Spriggan has too much non-rubber segments in it. Like, you need that rubber to be able to do this. And then you can see there, solid combo that'll work really well in tournaments. 3, 2, 1. You can also light launch it like that, because again, opposite spin, it's going to do well. It also works well in same spin. This is a good same spin and opposite spin combo. It'll work really well against both. The defensive capability of Vanish is really high. It's just even better at stamina than it is at defense, which is why you never see it put into defensive combos. There's no reason to build a defensive Vanish when you can build a stamina Vanish, and it will do better in both defense and attack matchups than a defense built Vanish would. I get a lot of flack when I say Vanish is a defense type player because people are like, no, it's a stamina type player. I'm like, no, it's also the strongest defense type player. It's just defense sucks. So spinning out ties right there going on, which is exactly what you would expect on this particular base. And that's what we're looking for again when you're fighting right spin combos with that Vanish. So I think that's all the ones that we got asked for ahead of time, and those are the ones that I prepped. So let's open it up to any of you guys still out there that want us to look at what we're doing. We're not testing your combo necessarily. I want you to tell me a stock combo
that you have
or that you're interested in, or like a random booster combo and be like, I got this one. How do I go to a tournament with this Beyblade? And I want to try and help you figure that out. Too many people get too locked in tournament combos in collections like mine, right? Where like I can go in with any Beyblade, so I'm going to build the best Beyblades. You don't have to build the best Beyblades to go to a tournament, and you don't have to build the best Beyblades to go to a tournament and do perfectly well. Mm-hmm. So I want people to be more open about the fact that these are the Beyblades I have, what can I do with them, and I want to help you guys get there. So if you guys have any combos from sets that you have, some stock combos, I'll try and see what parts I can recommend to make that combo better. That could help inform your next purchase, or it could help you find a part you already have that'll work well, and you can bring that to a tournament. So let's see if there's any. Nothing on there? Anything on there? Nothing?
Okay,
well,
we might wrap up for the day.
Are we?
You want to play for a half hour more?
Usually do it for an hour and a half, so let's do a half hour more. I'm going to start it off while people think about it with some combos that I'm interested in making a little bit more competitively viable. And that starts off here with Divine. Divine being the flagship Bey of Burst Ultimate, it's a letdown to me. So I'm going to see if I can figure out a way to make this thing do something.
And then we've got one from Ryan when you're done with that one.
Okay, awesome. put 9 here, and I want to line 9 up with the wings, not with the gaps. So you have to be a little bit careful when you're working with the 9 armor to make sure that it's locked into the position that you want it to be in. I'm still going to keep Belial 2 right now that it came with. Now, because we're dealing with a triangular and almost hexagonal design, I am going to use Fortress on this. But first we need to figure out what's it called? Attachments. What gears we're going to use here. Because definitely this thing needs a gear or two to perform well. So let's see how it does with that F gear. And I said I was going to use 9, but let's use the H gear. Where's my H gear? It should be on the gold divine. There it is. So H gear is a very unique gear. It does some interesting things to the weight from what I've been able to tell. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, what it does or what it's supposed to do. What was their intent with this particular part? I think it's quite interesting in high mode. We're going to try it in low mode right now. It adds on a little bit, but like you're not making any contact with this, so it's really just changing the weight distribution. I'm evening out the weight a little bit more, which is what we want from that stamina type with the F gear. And then it adds quite a bit more weight. We're going to max that out with Fortress there to, again, really dig into the design of what this is looking like. And I'm going to slap it onto Bearing Drift. We're going to put that on Bearing Drift, and we're going to try that up against a Dynamite plus F Perseus, probably.
Might as well.
Might as well.
Where'd you put him?
I took him apart.
Oh, I see.
Building him again. I stole stuff from him because I wanted that stuff, and then I realized I was going to use him, and then I need his stuff again. But again, I have so many parts. We can build these combos and help you guys figure it out.
Let me launch it though.
Alright, so there's that. I want this. Let's check it out. Both right spin. 3, 2, 1. So can this, with Bearing Drift, which is a super strong driver, keep up with just a regular Dynamite F Perseus on Bearing?
Go over what you built again?
I built Divine Belial 2 plus F plus H with Fortress and then Bearing Drift.
And you're trying to make it competitive?
I'm trying to see if it could withstand it better, and it can't. It lost so badly there, even with a super strong driver. So I don't think stamina is likely a possibility with this combo here. So let's try not stamina. It's a pain to get apart. We're going to drop the F gear. We're going to switch over to the A gear. And instead of the H gear, we're going to try the L gear. So the A gear in attack mode is going to be locked in again so that it pretty much is invisible there. And then that is going to go on the top in the other configuration. There we go. So that locks in. This becomes invisible underneath. If it's not invisible, you're in defense mode. If it's invisible, you're in attack mode. This has to be in high mode. We are going to try that on an attack combo. So we're still going to use Fortress, and then we're going to put it on Extreme Dash. And we're going to try it against that same Perseus. Right spin. 3, 2, 1. So we've already seen it loses attack potential way faster than we saw with those other attack types, right?
Let's do another launch.
3, 2, 1. Another good launch, you meant, right?
Yeah, another good launch. One more.
Three, two, one. Just doesn't have any damage compared to the other attack types that are available out there, right? It's not tossing you around the way I'd want it to. So no, Divine doesn't have, I think, any particularly useful parts. Now, what I'm answering is, how would you bring it to a tournament, right? So you bought the Divine Belial Bay. You got yourself Belial 2, which is solid. You got yourself a Nexus driver. Nexus disc there. And you got yourself Adventure. Adventure is trash. So what you got going on is you've got a Belial 2 core and you got a Nexus. Slap a D gear or an S gear onto the Nexus. And then put this onto an attack combo. So put this into something like Ultimate Valkyrie. So now we've got Ultimate Valkyrie with the 9 armor locked in, so that the 9 armor is not lined up that way. You always want the 9 armor to line up with your attack wings, not with your gaps. So 9 armor into the attack wings, onto plus S, and then we put that Extreme Dash driver that we were just using onto it. And this is what you're going to have to do to, if you bought Divine Belial, to go to a tournament and do well, this is the combo you're going to have together. So this is going to use that Belial 2 core, which is a fantastic attack core. This is a really good right spin attack core. It works both really well in Ultimate, as well as it works in Savior, and it works on Zyphoid. So there's multiple attack layers that this thing works well on, and you can use this pretty good. So let's try this here. What you saying?
So Steve asked what Szasse means, and it's actually Szasse.
It's actually Szasse.
Yeah.
So that is my historical last name. That was what my family's last name was when they were in Europe, and they moved to Canada, and they were illiterate. They couldn't spell, and so they spoke to the guy at the terminal, and they said, "What is your last name?" or "What is your name?" And he said, "Bob." And then, "What's your last name?" And he went, Zace, and they wrote down ZESS, which is my last name, or they wrote down ZACE, or they wrote down SEISSE, or they wrote down SZASS. And so there are several last names that originated from my last name, and those guys all spread out across the country, and none of us have ever met ever again. So Zaces, Zesses, Zices, Sices are all related to the Zace family name. And then I used this in a video game once, and everybody called me Szasse because they couldn't pronounce it, and I thought it was hilarious, so I made Szasse games. 3, 2, 1. So this is a solid attack combination.
That is way better.
See the amount of damage. It didn't get the knockout because of a wall hit. That's just something that's realistic when you're dealing with attack types, is sometimes you just lose due to those wall hits, but you can feel the power difference there compared to anything that Divine can do.
Yep, absolutely.
Let's try it again and see if I can actually get a win. I need to practice attack types more. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, that's what I needed. I think we have a recommendation on TikTok once we're done with this, but we also had a recommendation you said on YouTube for a combo.
2.
Alright. We'll do 1 YouTube, 1 TikTok, 1 YouTube. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, feel that power. That's what you're getting from that. So if you get yourself Divine Belial there, that's what you can do. You get the Nexus, you get the Divine, or you get the Belial, and you slap it on Ultimate or Zyphoid, and you have an awesome attack combo. So what was that first YouTube?
So Ryan was talking about Harmony Pegasus.
And Pro Series, okay.
Pro Series. And then he said, Ratchet Hasbro Bearing Drift.
Ratchet?
Do we have Ratchet? Yeah.
Okay.
And Mizuke says, Adventure is really aggressive without any of the gears. It just needs weight to help it out. You don't like Adventure.
Sorry, I was in my closet. What?
Oh, you don't like Adventure?
Adventure is fine in the DB stadium with plus V gear. It is not good in this stadium compared to other attack types. It's not that it's not good, it's that the other attack types are just so much better.
Right. Yeah, Mizuke said that it's really aggressive without any of the gears, but it needs weight to help it be better.
Yeah, it needs the weight of the V gear to be good, and then the V gear makes it a little bit worse. So Ratchet, and you said Bearing Drift? No, you said
Hasbro Bearing Drift.
No, Hasbro Ratchet.
Hasbro Ratchet.
And
Bearing
then
Drift.
Bearing Drift. Okay, let's see.
Now, we can use Pro Series in the WBO tournaments with Takara Tomy plots, but not regular Hasbro base. Okay.
So let's try that Dynamite F. Let's see. 3, 2, 1. So if you have Bearing Drift on you, that means you have Super King. Because you bought that box. Unless you bought it, it's particularly just that one part.
Right.
You have the DX set. If you have the DX set, I don't see you bringing Harmony Pegasus to a tournament. You're just going to bring Super or King Helios, right?
Enough. Maybe some people just like the look of Harmony Pegasus. Yeah, Mark said that his grandfather's name was changed despite being something else and lost to time.
So that is very long. Yeah, mine should have been lost for time. It was just that my grandmother was very determined. Nobody knew, and she just worked really, really hard to finally trace it back. And how she did it was that she found 6 different people with last names that all had the same Alexander with the same birth date as their father.
Wow.
And all their father's last names were different. It was Alexander Zase, Alexander Zeiss, Alexander...
history
so
tracing.
People wrote down who their parents
so we have a couple of things.
Okay.
So
no, it didn't work that well. Not really.
And if you have the Mobius,
and if you have this, if you have Bearing Drift, use King.
Mark said World Diabolos. Opposite spin, Blitz,
We
Drift,
don't
S1.
have Diabolos.
Oh, okay.
But that is totally yes.
Yeah?
If you have Super King layers, Diabolos, World Diabolos is fantastic. If you can change spin direction, it wins in opposite spin battles.
Right, so if you can't change spin direction, there are some tournaments where you can't change spin direction, then it might not be worth...
Yeah, everything World Beyblade Org does not allow spin direction change, and so it's not that good. But 5G, if you're working with WBA, or if you're doing Blader's Kingdom, it's fantastic.
Then Beyblade Burst Go Surge says, New Helios.
Okay.
Bale Giga Nothing Break. I don't know what one that is.
What?
Nothing Break?
I don't know what the Bale Giga means. We have nothing.
So talk about the New Helios a little bit.
Oh, we only have a Hasbro nothing.
Oh. Okay, so we can't test that one.
Nope.
Sorry.
We're only really dealing with DB and BU parts. That's what mostly we've collected. We've been only in it for about a year and a bit.
Yep.
So that's what we got going on. For the New Helios, it's an excellent part. It's got 2 burst stoppers, excellent teeth, good weight distribution. I'm slapping it around.
Things.
It's a solid left spin core for stamina types. I think it's probably... The weakness to it is really just that how many good left spin cores there are. Right? So there's Bahamut, there's Longinus, now there's Helios, there's Burst Spriggan, there's Achilles. There's so many left spinners, and I think other ones just outshine what this thing can do. Bahamut has better burst resistance, Longinus has better teeth, Achilles has better balance, and Burst Spriggan can change spin direction. So this thing just kind of gets left a little bit in the dust because it doesn't do any of those things better than the other ones do. But if it's what you have, it's a solid part. It's not bad.
What's the next one there?
Oh, the red fusion set. So putting Helios into into the super layer is what he's talking about here. So if we take...
Wait, Dynamite's just spinning forever.
Just forever. Spin for days.
Helios and... okay, so yeah, red.
So where are the super heroes?
And Houdini says, if you guys are talking combos, Guilty Longinus, Nexus S, Bearing Drift, So Guilty Longinus is kind of been done a million times. We're looking at one.
But that's Guilty Longinus on Bearing Drift, he said, which is a stamina Guilty Longinus. That's just weird and silly. I wouldn't ever do it because there's better combos for it. What we're doing here and what we're trying to do for those that are new, anybody that's just joined us, is I'm trying to help you go, I have these parts and I want to know if I can go to a tournament with it. So I have these stock combos. What tournament, or how can I build a tournament-worthy combination with these parts? So I'm trying to help you guys understand better how to use the parts that you have to be able to make combos.
So we're looking at the new Helios then.
So this is the new Helios on the super layer, so on the red layer, and then you're putting it with a 0 armor kind of style is what you would go with. What you're going to do here is you're going to go attack, and the reason you're going to go attack is look at how aggressive in left spin this shape is. If you go pure red, you are a attack monster. So you can put this onto extreme and make a pretty sweet attack type. So taking this, putting it onto a Nexus plus S I would do for the highest weight possible, and then slapping that onto a extreme dash. Come on. It don't want to. Aren't you
put
clicking?
the S here on
Yep.
there? Okay.
It's just not locked in, apparently. Okay. Lock in. Put that on. I might go D gear instead, but it's going to be so close.
He's also suggesting Zeal. You can test this out as attack.
This is what I would do.
Yeah.
If you wanted to do a Super Helios, 3, 2, 1. It has amazing aggression, excellent damage output. It's very fast, and it's very good at knocking things out. 3, 2, 1. I think it's one of the fastest attack types. Its agility is really high up there, and it just does a lot of damage output. If you don't get a hit in the first couple of seconds, though, as with most attack types, this ends up happening and you end up losing it out. Now, if you put this thing on super, and we did this in our video, so we already did this combo that he's talking about in our video on the super, or on the Helios layer.
When you did the unboxing, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we did put this thing on with its original Zeal base. Where's our Zeal?
Mecha says, maybe the Belial 3 core has the most burst resistance due to it having a burst stopper, better teeth, and BU locks?
Yes.
Yeah?
The issue with it, in comparison to Belial 2, from what I have found, is that Belial 2 has better balance than Belial 3.
Yeah?
Just from what I've seen in my own testing. What are we doing here? We're doing this. So we're putting Super Helios on Zeal here. And let's put it up against that same combo.
Mm-hmm. It's Dynamite Perseus for the win.
So what you're hoping to do here, really, is that you're hoping to use high recoil to get a stamina-style knockout. 3, 2, 1.
To get into a tournament, I would recommend going onto the World Beyblade Organization website and taking a look if there are any tournaments in your area.
Yeah, tournaments near me. I also look at the process tournaments list and see if there have been any near you in a certain amount of time. Because maybe they don't have a currently posted one, but they have hosted in the past. 3, 2, 1. So yeah, this isn't going to have any of the attack potential that I was talking about. It does have really high recoil for your opponent, while being pretty good at resisting itself. This combo, it can get surprise knockouts, but it just doesn't have the longevity and stamina that I'd be looking for a stam type in a tournament. I think there's better things that you can do with all of the parts from the DX set to get a better stam type, and the win condition that this thing has is just unreliable. It's an interesting combination. It has some cool theories behind it, but I just don't think it works.
And again, if you're not doing tournaments, it's fun.
If you're not doing tournaments, it's perfectly fun. We are just the purpose of this is to talk about making it competitive, which is talking about tournaments.
Yeah.
So Can definitely be fun. What's your favorite Burst Bay? Probably Astral Kitty. No.
Astral Kitty.
Stock combo wise, I really like Roar Bahamut.
Yeah, he's cool.
I really like the other one because it comes with Daring Drift, but I like this one's coloring more. So if you put this thing on Metal Drift, this thing's fantastic. I love it. So there we go. It looks like a beast. It's got an awesome driver on it for opposite spin battles, and it's really cool. If there weren't so many left spin opponents, it would be totally tournament viable, but there's too many left spin opponents out there, and it sucks against left spinners. My favorite combo that I build every time I do a tournament, a custom battle tournament, is I make Guilty Bahamut 9 Nexus plus S on Reboot, because I am obsessed with the Reboot driver, but nobody knows how to use it correctly. So the Reboot driver is one of the weirdest attack drivers. It has a mechanism that, as Centrifugal Force works, it pushes itself out, being a stamina type at the start. As stamina reduces, it eventually hits this star pattern, which turns it into an attack type. Too many players, when using Reboot, launch it like it's an attack type. And then it doesn't reboot properly, and it doesn't get the win. What it's supposed to do is it's supposed to sit in the middle and be really heavy, push your opponent around it, and then activate Reboot and escort them up to the edge and knock them out. That's what you're going for. Too many people launch it like an attack type, and that makes it attack, and then Reboot activates it, and it does some more attacks. But it's just not very good at doing that, where if it escorts the enemy out really well with the Reboot, it works really well. I've won a lot of matches, surprisingly, with this. When I went to the Nightwing Invitational, a lot of people were not prepared for my Reboot dash.
True. How much was this stadium?
That stadium was $49.99, I think, at Beyblade Premier.
So Beyblade Premier has been great for stadiums, so definitely check them out. And Steve has a great question that this comes up a lot. Does the armor really affect how a Bey performs? How about the ones with even weight distribution? What's the difference between 6, 8, and 10?
Yes, the armor does make a significant difference. It doesn't seem like it should, because you're looking at it and you're like, okay, well this compared to that, like they don't seem that different. But what's going on with these is that they are distributing the weight in different ideal points. This is one of your best ways when building your combo to distribute weight where you need it to go. It's one of the few parts you have in your arsenal that actually you have full control over where the weight goes compared to your layer. So you pick your layer, and then you want to pick an armor that complements that layer. The weaker armors are all of the armors that are mostly all of the armors that are even weight distribution. So that is the 6 armor, the 8 armor, the 10 armor are on the weaker side.
But they're consistent.
They're consistent. They're good in a lot of combos. The stronger ones are the ones that are more focused. So you got the 9. 9 is fantastic. It's really strong. 0 is really strong. So 0 is one of the rare even weight distribution that's really strong. 4 is quite good. 4 would be better if there were more square drivers, or more square layers. There aren't enough square layers for 4 to be that good, just because it doesn't synergize with the ones that are available. 9 is the strongest for triangular bays, and there are so many triangular bays right now in Burst that dealing with 9 is just, you've got these huge sections here with large weight distribution going on. So there's 3 sections. That is so good on triangular layers. And so that's when you're talking about Divine, Savior, Vanish, Ultimate, Wind. There's a lot of good use of 9, and 9 is a very strong armor. 0 is probably the most reliable even armor, and that's why it's really strong, is that of the even weight distribution armors, 0 is performing better than the others. And so why put a different one on when you can use 0, because they all have the even weight distribution. The worst armor is 6. Okay. The worst armor is 1, with the exception of if you have Excalibur, or if you're using Excalibur. So 1 here is the worst weight or the worst armor that you can interact with. It has 1 single weight point, and that is not what you want in almost any combination. Also, the location of where this is compared to the rest of the layer, when you lock this into layers, the few layers that could use it don't want the weight there. That's not the point that they want the weight to be focused on. So this thing is only good in or in Zyphoid. You only put this on Zyphoid and that's it. So it's technically the worst armor. It performs worse than 6 on every other combo except Zyphoid. 6 is the weakest of the average armors, the normal armors. It just isn't good. It has 3 weight distribution points, similar to what 10 does. It distributes the weight similar to 10, but 10 just does a better job than 6 does. 6 did these weird groovings, and it actually it causes some weird interactions with air pressure. It just doesn't work very well, where 10 just did it better and focuses the weight better than 6. 3 used to be okay. 3 used to be the best, but 9 is now better.
What is Deep Kinox?
Kinox, that would be a turbo gen.
We do not have turbo.
We do not have turbo Beyblades. We're just dealing with Burst Ultimate and Dynamite Battle here. We have a few exceptions. We could do anything in Pro Series really, but we're talking about tournament competitiveness in Burst Standard format. Anything got on over there?
Just a little bit of chatting. One armor has a gimmick piece that's good on very specific parts, bad at everything else. Divine, unless it has A or F gear, isn't really that good. 0 and 9 are really good for competitive combos, says Mecha Burst.
Yeah. We just tried to Divine, even with gears, it's not good. So, Divine's just a little bit of a letdown. Let's launch some Beys.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for. 3, 2, 1.
What's a good combo for Ultimate Valkyrie? We have talked about that a little bit, but obviously you're coming in a little late. That's okay.
You're coming a little later. So Ultimate Valkyrie, what you do with it is you put on something like Belial or something that has better burst resistance than Valkyrie does. So Belial 2 you can put into it. Kerbase you can put into it. My brain's goofing here on another option. There is another option. What am I thinking? You win. Knight's pretty decent. It has a bit of a weirder gimmick, but it works. Oh, and Valkyrie 1 could also work. Any of those. You put it on the 9 armor, and then you give it Fortress, which has great weight distribution, great attack points, and works well with the triangular design. And then you throw it on a rubber attack driver like Metal Extreme, or you put it on something like Exceed Dash or Explosion. Yep. Anything that starts with an X.
I really like Doomsizer aesthetically, but it's really not good in the current...
Doomsizer hasn't been good since, like, Doomsizer D2. Like, the shape of it has... Dark Doomsizer was an absolute beast back in dual layer days, but no Doomsizer has really been competitive since. 3, 2, 1. Due to the design of the scythe shape, they've all become unbalanced and not in a good way. Hollow is hilariously bad, which is the most recent Doomsizer.
I was Hollow Doomsizer for our Halloween tournament. I had a Grim Reaper costume. It was great.
It was great.
So we have 2 Belial questions. Is the Belial 3 core better than Belial 2? And can we show a Burst Belial Nexus plus X with Dimension 8 plus Ultimate?
Okay, so... Burst Belial?
Burst Belial.
Belial
Nexus
3,
plus
I
X.
assume? Let's try both.
Well,
let's look at
we've
both.
got a question.
We've got a question, which one's better?
Is 2 or 3 better?
2 or 3 better. So let's grab ourselves a Belial 3. Should be over here somewhere. Over here. Over here somewhere. There it is. Belial 2.
So, Belial 3. Showing.
Oh, that's not Belial.
That's not Belial.
I didn't pick up Belial 2. I thought I did. Where did it go?
Is it the upside down one right there?
Nope. Bahamut. Belial 2. It should be red on the outside.
We've lost.
We're going to put this one together first as I look around. Oh, wow.
That's Valkyrie.
That's Valkyrie. So Burst Belial, what was the weight disc?
Burst Belial.
Spread?
Nexus plus S, Dimension
Nexus
8 plus
S.
Ultimate?
Right. So it's got 8 on it. What's Ultimate?
I don't know.
What driver are you talking about there? Where did I put my Nexus?
Because isn't Ultimate the other layer?
Ultimate's a layer.
Yeah, so we can't do it.
We can't do Burst and Ultimate together.
Does the competitive scene use high mode?
It can.
Are there any Beyblades that have better performance in high mode than low mode in competitive?
So Astral.
Just pick a base.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what they're even trying to do with this, but I don't know. Extreme dash. Why not? High mode. How high mode works compared to low mode is fighting opposite spin opponents in stamina type matchups. Stamina type matchup, opposite spin opponents, is where sometimes high mode can perform better. Astral is a big key component to that. 3, 2, 1. And it's one of those layers that does have some higher potential in high mode. Dynamite plus F also can. So the reason Dynamite plus F can is that it raises up where the rubber is and makes it more often that you're contacting the rubber than the plastic. That didn't work well. So in stamina type battles, high mode can work better, but you have to know what you're doing with that. You have to have long life after death, and you have to outweigh your opponent. Other than that, low mode is going to work better 99% of the time.
And Giga?
What? Nexus plus S.
Yeah, but he
Extreme
said
dash.
Giga instead.
Instead of Nexus plus S. What driver though? I put it on Extreme Dash, but I assume that's not what you wanted.
What's the tome?
Satum is S3 generation turbo.
Turbo. So we don't have any turbo. Burst trend we really like. We've only been playing Beyblade again for a year. When Kyle played originally, it was Plastic Gen. So those are the two that we've played. We did not play Metal Gen, Turbo. We like Burst. It is fun. They are entertaining battles. Even if you're just a couple of kids playing with some quad strike bays, watching Bursts is entertaining. That's our thoughts on it.
Yes. Where's the Giga? There's the Giga.
Premiere showed some high mode battles where high mode won over low modes. Situational awareness, says Mark.
Yeah, so...
What is Premiere? What is that we missed?
They run Premiere. They run their own channel.
Oh, okay. So he was congratulating Troymod on his win on Premiere. That was that CBT. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Understood. I'm caught up.
Yeah, Troymod kicked butt. He's a local person here. He's our editor, actually. He edits most of our Beyblade videos.
Been helping out a lot with that.
And he absolutely crushed that tournament there on Beyblade Premiere.
Where's my prominence? Perseus. Let's go.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, sorry. Miss launch. I'm just slapping your hand with my launcher.
Can you pull the string? Make sure it pulls.
Yes. Purple Indigo says, thanks. Grew up with the non-burst. Wish they had more of those in stores. They are hard to find.
They're hard to find. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, so my opinion on the two different Belials is that Belial 3 has better burst resistance, better burst stopper, better teeth, but it has worse balance.
All right, last one.
Last one?
I think we are.
Yeah, last one, then we're done. Sure.
What's a good way to max Xiphoid Excalibur's attack power?
Being very careful about how you lock it together.
Why do you say that? What do you mean?
So,
show.
Yeah.
Oh, your Pro Series aren't working?
No, Xiphoid Excalibur is one of these.
Oh, yeah, I saw him. He's here.
Where's my one armor?
What's your favorite Beyblade character?
Ranjiro.
Ranjiro?
This one. Okay. So when you're locking Xiphoid Excalibur together, the best way to maximize its potential is make sure that you know what you're doing when you're locking it together. So first off, you need to make sure that your sword lines up with the sword. you need to make sure that your weight point on the armor is on the correct side. So the one armor here, you need to lock it in so that it is on the same side of the Beyblade as your point is. So if you lock it in on the other side and it's over here, you're messing yourself up. Then you take the Xanthus disc. And again, with the Xanthus disc, there's two different ways you can lock it in. You can lock it in so that the point is on the same side as the sword, or you can lock it in so that the point is on the opposite side of the sword. You need to make sure that you're locking it in on the same point. The next trickiest thing is that you need to put it on a driver that will lose clicks. If you don't lose clicks, you won't activate your sword mechanism. If you don't activate your sword mechanism, you don't win.
So what do you mean by lose clicks?
Lose clicks is take burst damage.
So you don't want the burst resistors.
You don't want too much burst resistance,
Okay.
but you want enough that you only take 2 clicks.
Right. Who are you thinking?
You could put it on Extreme Dash. A lot of people put it on Extreme Dash. The problem with Extreme Dash can be that it can be harder to get those 2 clicks before the sword comes out, but it is really about getting that. So what you need to do is you need to hit your opponent really hard in the first second of the fight. 3, 2, 1. If we do that, she didn't hit me very hard at the start. And if we stop this right now, her sword won't have come out. There's no clicks of the burst mechanism.
So let's try that again.
3, 2, 1.
No.
So again, didn't manage to get good hits on me and won't have activated. She got 1 click, but not 2, and didn't get that off.
And try?
Sure. So it could be that Extreme Dash isn't the greatest tip to use. 3, 2, 1. Because it doesn't, or it's too resistant to bursting, being a dash driver. So I was trying to find where I put down the explosion driver. Because again, I didn't even activate the burst mechanism at all. So here's, no, that's Quattro, that's Quattro Dash. There it is. So let's try that over again with Explosion. And the why that I'm doing Explosion instead is Explosion is not a dash driver.
So just repeat what you're doing with this one, because we've got a couple of new people that have joined.
Sure. So we are trying to maximize the attack potential on our Xiphoid Excalibur here. And so that means you need to lock it in specifically so that all of the points will line up once you take 2 clicks of the driver's burst mechanism. So after 2 clicks, the sword comes out and all of the parts line up, right? Xanthus lines up with the tip lines up with the sword, and everything is gravy. But you need to make sure that that happens. And if that doesn't happen, you've lost the potential of this bay. 3, 2, 1.
Mecha Burst asks if a normal extreme driver has enough to activate the gimmick.
I don't have a normal extreme driver.
Oh, okay.
So I can't really say to it. It came with something in... Oh, I did get the sword activated.
Nice.
Normal extreme came... It came in GT, didn't it?
I don't know. So Blader Union says yes to that question, even though we do not have it to show at the time.
3, 2, 1.
It was
backward. My worry about normal extreme instead of extreme dash is how resistant to bursting is it. Will it burst too much? 3, 2, 1.
Not reliable.
Not reliable going on there with Explosion. So Explosion's probably too low is what's going on. It is a very low driver. And so because it's so low, it's making Xanthus scrape. Yeah.
Agent Webb says, this is a cool stream. We say thanks.
Thanks.
Agent Webbs. We're just trying to build some more competitive combos that aren't maybe always seen places.
There we go. Here's an idea. Let's do Metal Extreme.
Okay.
Because Metal Extreme has slightly worse burst resistance than Extreme Dash.
Blader Union says it came in single layer and dual layer Odin.
Single layer Odin had Extreme? I didn't think any rubber drivers existed in single layer. 3, 2, 1.
That was a nice hit, but
a nice hit.
I am resisting you.
You got 1 click.
Steve also says the BU lock system has a backup lock system to prevent last click with Xanthus and Excalibur.
Yeah, so there is a slight stopper there to resist it.
Cool.
3, 2, 1.
Nice.
And that's not even a sword out.
Not even a sword, just a beautiful lockout. Knockout.
Alright, we're gonna wrap it up with this battle. 3, 2, 1. Not that battle, that was a boring battle to wrap it up on.
And Bladed Union says, meant to say single layer Excalibur.
I thought that was iron.
And Obelisk Odin.
I thought original Excalibur came with iron. 3, 2, 1.
Nice hits.
Was that enough though?
See the Belial 2 core under the ultimate blade.
Yeah. I did get the sword out, I didn't get the win. So yes, you need to make sure that you get those 2 clicks. Getting a weaker driver is the way to do that because it does have a nice little mechanism right there. It's hard to see, but there's a little mechanism on the actual core that stops it from bursting all the way pretty well. It's pretty good at stopping it. So you want a weaker burst rate so that you get the sword out, and that's the key to that. So thanks for coming out to the stream. It has been our hour and a half and a little bit more of this. We are Szasse Games. We do competitive Beyblade stuff. We run the Szasse Games channel. Szasse Games series of channels. We have several different verticals with that.
So we are streaming to YouTube and TikTok at the same time.
Yes.
TikTokers, if you are interested in rewatching anything, we do have the live posted over on our YouTube channel. Same channel, Szasse Games.
You can find it in our bio. Thanks everyone, and we'll catch you guys next time.